Hello? Does that work? Hi. Can you guys hear me? Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Christmas holiday extravaganza. Ooh, yay. Yay, yay, yay. Okay, how's everyone doing? I didn't see you all last week because it was Thanksgiving week here in the good old USA, and now we're back. I didn't even know this was possible to do, but I was getting ready to stream today. And of course, I have this whole holiday setup, which I haven't used since I moved. And so I had to the way that OBS works is it basically grabs files from your computer and it knows that certain files are in certain areas of your computer, like C drive, documents, blah, blah, blah. And so I had to resync up all of my stuff for this Christmas setup. And then I had to rescale the photo that's the background for this right now. I'm not loving it, actually. I'm probably going to change it next time, but it works for today, I guess. And while I was trying to scale it, I accidentally scaled everything on all of the screens for all of my OBS. Hopefully just for this one OBS scene, enough for all of my OBS, because I don't even know how that would be possible. Everything went whoosh, and it just turned huge. And so I could only see a little bit of my face, and I completely lost the chat. I had to completely redo that. So anyways, thank you for your patience. And also, YouTube used to let me schedule live streams to start every 5 minutes. So I could say we start at 6:05, 6:45, 6:25, and now they only allow you to do it in 15-minute increments. I have no idea why they would change that. They just decided, you know what, we don't like supporting things in 5-minute increments anymore. You are only gonna get every 15, and you're gonna be happy with that. So here we are, confusion about what time the stream is supposed to start, but we'll figure it out, and hopefully. Also, let me know, is the music too loud in comparison to my voice? You guys should hear a little bit of faint background music. Oh, also, I need to update the color for it, but we have a new live stream goal. So, you guys want to see the camera I used to film YouTube videos? Also, let me know how you guys' Thanksgiving week went. Let me know your holiday plans. I want to hear that stuff. Oh, wait, check out this cool shirt that I got at Target today. Ta-da! There should be very faint Chris music kind of coming in and out of the background. Never mind, I've got Halo running. The classic holiday video game experience. So I got this at Target today. It's too big in the shoulders. So if you're a broad-shouldered human being, I am a very narrow-shouldered person, and Target clothes always fit really wide on me for some reason, not in the chest area, but in the shoulders and in the back. No idea. Maybe that's the style. Maybe Zoomers like boxy clothing. I don't know. But I found this, and I was like, thank God, because for so long, for the last, I would say, I don't know, 4 years of holiday shopping, the one thing that they all sell at Christmas stores, anywhere Target, Walmart, Macy's, anywhere you go to get Christmas stuff from, they only sell ugly Christmas sweaters. Now they mass manufacture ugly 80s style Christmas sweaters. And that's the only thing they sell anymore for Christmas attire. And finally this is the only Nightmare Before Christmas product they had in the whole store, was this, and they had t-shirts for kids. And after that, it was just Minnie and Mickey Mouse and references to A Christmas Story, and what else? They had something else as well that was oh, they had Snoopy. They had a lot of Snoopy stuff also. So if you're into Snoopy, Target has you covered. But anyways, this is what I got. It was the only one in the store. It happened to be a small. So whoop-de-whoop. I did get one other thing, though, that looks like it could be Nightmare Before Christmas, but isn't. We're doing a show and tell now, by the way. I hope you're okay with that. These, my friends, they may look like ordinary black and white candy canes, but I saw these. I saw these on Instagram, Twitter, maybe Twitter, These are Oreo flavored candy canes. There was one box left in the whole Target, okay? And I got them. I got black and white candy canes. What else could you need in your life? I haven't actually tried one yet because I don't know if they're gross or not. So we're gonna figure out if they're gross or not at some point. I personally like using candy canes to mix hot chocolate with. That's their like primary like use in my household. But I have them and they're mine. I'm going to talk about the goal for YouTube in a second, but I want to sit down and, you know, talk about candy cane ores. I don't have a tree. I bought a wreath. I was in Target for probably like 2 hours today, and I tried to find either a mini tree or a big tree, because I have little mini ornaments, and I wanted to put a tree there where my lamp is, you know, get double light action going on. And they didn't have any miniature trees left. They had like one like silver foil like tree that probably is about as tall as my lamp, but the branches on it were so tiny there was no way it could hold ornaments. It was a regular old Charlie Brown tree if I ever saw one. So couldn't get a tree from there. Don't know where else to go to find one. Maybe Michael's or like Joann's or somewhere. That was gonna be my next guess, but I ran out of time. I had to like head home before traffic got insane, and you know it goes from taking like 10 minutes to get somewhere around here to taking like 30, just depending on what time of day you're driving. So try to be mindful of the clock when I'm going out places, you know. But I've done all my decorating. You guys can't see. It's so sad. It's all in the like. I'll show you guys at some point. Maybe when I can take pictures of it, I'll show you all. But I basically have a whole little winter scene on my dresser, basically. That's like candles and little fake trees with snow on them, and I don't know, just candy canes, candles. It's just cute. It's just a cute little Christmas thing, and I like it. And I will be doing Christmas videos this year. I'll probably be doing like 2 Christmassy themed videos and then like something for New Year's is sort of my plan. I'm kind of toying around with the idea of having a break, maybe like a content break between like Christmas and New Year's, and like not posting anything for that week between Christmas and New Year's, just because you know, this time of year, I don't want to get too dramatic, but like this time of year is like kind of hard. Like I've realized, like memory wise, if you guys are on Patreon, you probably know why. I've talked about it on my Patreon before. But this time of year is like kind of hard memory wise, and so especially that week between Christmas and January is like kind of intense. So I don't want to necessarily like be active on the internet around. I'm gonna like start crying thinking about it. But I don't want to be on the internet around that time of year, and I could pre-film stuff, but I also am probably going to be with my family, and so like I don't know how busy I want my like pre-Christmas time to be. Like I don't want to, what I normally end up doing when I'm planning on traveling is I overwork myself for like a couple weeks beforehand, and I do nothing for the entire time that I'm on vacation, which normally works. Doesn't work super great when you're going on like a family, like I'm not going on a family trip, but like I'm gonna be around family obviously. So yeah. Then I tried to find, also I wanted to find like a costume for Bandit to wear, like a little Christmas costume. Like I feel like Elf would be the most common. I wanted to get her a little reindeer hat. I wanted to get Bandit a little reindeer hat. Couldn't find one. So I'm gonna have to look on Amazon for that. See if I can find some little reindeer antlers for Bandit. That would be cute. My phone automatically spell checked, so I deleted what I posted. Gotcha. Anyways. Taking a break from YouTube's always weird because it's not like I don't think you guys would understand. Like, I'm sure if I took a break for a week, you guys, I don't even know if anyone would really notice in that week between Christmas and New Year's, because that's always, especially if you're American, and that's when your core celebration of Christmas is like Christmas Day and Christmas Eve. Like, I don't think a lot of people would notice, but YouTube would notice, and that's the problem. Because I think my channel's kind of fully recovered from when I was... The whole thing happened with YouTube over the summer where, like, they gave me some community strikes for, like, literally no reason. And I wasn't able to post for like 2 weeks, I think. And I finally, I think, have come back out of that. I definitely got like lower views than I normally would. I definitely noticed that like less people were getting things in their sub feeds. Like there was definitely, because YouTube was like, you haven't posted for 2 weeks, so now we're gonna like punish you and not suggest your videos as much because your views are down. And I'm like, well, my views are down because I'm missing like 100,000 views that I would have gotten from like posting 4 videos, you know, over the course of those 2 weeks. So whose fault is that, YouTube? It's not mine. So that happened this last summer. And so I'm kind of paranoid about choosing to take a break again because I'm like, I mean, my channel's in a really good place. Like, I think, like, you know, I'm not in danger or anything. My channel's not dying or anything. But I don't want to invite that, I suppose. I don't want YouTube, because I think my videos have been doing really well. And I know that across YouTube as a platform, like I hear so many other creators talk about this, that like engagement is down and views are down because obviously people are coming out of the pandemic, they're going back to work, going back in person to school, they are traveling to visit family, they're just like less engaged online, probably because they're burned out being online as well. And I think, you know, it's good that people are able to do things besides being online at the time, because being in a pandemic internally is not fun for anyone and not good for anyone's mental well-being. But like being a creator, it can be kind of stressful to experience that and see that. And yeah, I know it's not like a fun holiday topic, but that's sort of like the background behind. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I should take a break, because I don't know if it's better to like formally announce it and like let people know I'm taking a break, or just like not say anything and then like don't post for a week and then just like which one will YouTube punish me for the least? That's really what I try and do in life. YouTube and Mother Nature are the two DOMs that I cannot avoid, that I'm in non-consensual DS relationships with. Basically, YouTube and Mother Nature, those are the two that always rule my life. Anyways, let's get to chatting. Let's answer some questions, ask some questions. So, oh, I don't have the thing. Oh, okay, I gotta do that. Note to self. I think that got lost when I accidentally rescaled everything. So this is an 18 plus only live stream. If you are not at least 18, please do not be here. That is for your safety, my safety, everyone's safety, because we do talk about like polyamory, kink, BDSM, all sorts of things like that. And mixing those topics together with minors, not a good time. So just keep yourself safe. Come back when you are 18 and we'll be happy to have you. So 18 plus only live stream, as per usual. And this is an interactive Q&A. Obviously, I rant, I ramble, I have things I like to chat about, but this is also about what you guys want me to talk about. So if you have questions, thoughts, ideas, things you want to say about a recent video, just musings, funny stories, whatever it is you want to talk about, you can ask me about. I do have an FAQ down below, so if you do have kind of more basic questions about like, how do I tell my boyfriend I want to try BDSM? Where can I buy a flogger from? Where is your collar from? Like, those questions are going to be answered down below. I have literally hundreds and hundreds of hours of videos. I have recently kind of looked at some of my older videos to kind of compare camera quality. And, man, I hate looking at my face sometimes. I'm like, wow, I don't know what I was doing there with that attempted a makeup look. So I'm always like refreshing my ideas about things. So some older videos and some older things I have talked about before, possibly worth refreshing my opinion on. So if you ask and I skip over it, it's probably because I feel like I've sufficiently answered it in the FAQ. I can always decide to answer it if I feel like it, because sometimes it is an FAQ and I have like new thoughts about it and I'm like, well, let's share this thing. So that is that on that. Oh, that's a new one. Haven't seen that one before. Amazing, the things that YouTube doesn't automatically filter out of being like, that shouldn't be a username. But, you know, good times, good times. Yeah, the ban hammer was applied immediately. I do keep an eye on my stream, so for all of you that are like gonna try and be spam body, I am on it. So, in regards to, so I should clarify this because Vera said, or Vera, let me know. Polyamory is absolutely appropriate for under 18. Anything else is no, but polyamory is appropriate just as much as monogamy is everywhere. So I don't know if you're familiar with my channel, but I do primarily talk about BDSM and kink. So I personally don't feel comfortable chatting to minors about polyamory because my polyamory intersects with sexuality and BDSM in a way I'm not comfortable like talking about with minors. And because I do talk about kink, I don't want to talk to minors about how to have a polyamorous relationship. I also generally don't give a lot of advice about poly because I don't know. I just feel like I'm not able to explain it as well as I am with BDSM, I suppose. And it's more like introspective and more personalized and like concrete and something you can learn like objective skills around. Like you can learn how to like throw a flogger, you can learn how to cane, you can learn about what bondage is. But like how the fuck do you explain the abstract concept and a personal discovery of compersion? Like how, like, I don't know. Like I'm sure at some point I'd make a video about it, but my brain just isn't able to do that super well for whatever reason. Yeah, and I always try to think about it like if this was like, I don't know. I just feel like if my space is going to be closed off to minors for one reason, it has to be closed off for all reasons. You know, especially on a live stream format where it's like, if you're here to talk about BDSM, you have to leave. But if you're here for poly, that's fine. Like, that just seems like confusing, I suppose. Oh, also look at my pants I got. They're like black and red, like buffalo check, and they go so good with this sweater. Sorry, I'm in a mood today, and I don't know what mood it is. I'm probably just, I don't know. I went out in public today. That doesn't happen very often, and I think that's just making me all jazzed up. All right, let's answer some questions. I should see who else streams at this time on Fridays. Because I wonder if we have viewers that overlap on Fridays. That would be funny. I was listening to a horror podcast. Thought this music was part of the soundtrack. Oh my gosh. Listen, I like this kind of nice, like cutesy Christmas music absolutely could be in a horror soundtrack. I'm not really into horror. I have listened to Welcome to Night Vale, but like we've talked about this. I like suspense more than I like horror, and so I don't know, maybe I'm not an expert about what would be included in a horror soundtrack, but I'd believe it. No, Bendito Camito, is there something, I don't know, like Bandit Cameo? No, she's down there. She's down there. Yeah, I guess there isn't a Kwanzaa emoji. I mean, I learned about Kwanzaa when I was in elementary school, though that was like 1999. So I don't really know if like, from when I read, like Kwanzaa isn't as popular as it used to be. I don't know why that is though. There's something about mass manufacturing illegal Christmas sweaters. Oh, totally, for sure. And I don't know why. Like, I just feel like that ruins it. Like, once you, like, the idea of having an ugly Christmas sweater is that you found it somewhere in, like, the dusty bin of a Goodwill hasn't been worn in 20 years that somebody found in an attic. Like, it's about finding something that's really wacky. Somebody's grandma probably made it. It's one of a kind. And I feel like they just fail at making, like, an ugly Christmas sweater. Like, they just, because you can tell it's not old. And ugly doesn't mean cheap, but they usually make them really cheaply. So for example, like one of the things they do a lot is they have like crew sweatshirts like this, and then they have like it looks sort of like a printed sweater design, like a Faroe Island kind of sweater design, and it'll have a little reindeer on it, and it'll look like it's vaguely supposed to be knitted, but it's just on oh, we have a super chat. Oh, I forgot to mention about the super chats. Wait, why can't I can't, it's too big. It's too powerful. There we go. Thank you, great dogs. Yes, Merry Christmas to everyone. So, if you want to make sure to, oh, I don't know why it's not the Christmas. It should be the Christmas dog. Oh well, that one's still cute. I'm not angry. I had to move the snow so it was visible. Okay, so Merry Christmas. If you guys want to do super chats, if you want to make sure that I answer your question, because we do normally run out of time to answer questions, you can use either a super chat. If you do a super chat through YouTube, be aware they do take 30% of the donation right off the top, because that's what YouTube does. They take people's money. Isn't that nice? So they take money on top of the super chat, and if you want to contribute to the donation goal above directly, the way to do that is to go through Streamlabs, which is also linked down below, and that is what contributes to this, and it completely all goes to me. YouTube, Streamlabs, nobody else like secretly takes your money without telling you as part of the donation. I've always found that very shady about YouTube, because I didn't know that YouTube was doing that until I specifically looked into it, because I noticed that the amount of money I was getting was different than like what people donated. And YouTube's like, oh yeah, by the way, we just like take some of your money and then we don't tell anyone about it. Very upfront, very, very nice. Good business practice. Oh, yeah. If you guys just want to, like, if you guys want to ask a question, that's fine. But if you guys just want to donate and, like, send a little Christmas message, that's also great. Okay, what is YouTube? YouTube's telling me something. Warning. Please check the video resolution. Wait, what? Which is not optimal. Wait, what? Video resolution. What's going on here? All right, give me a second. I mean, that's what it is. I don't think I changed that. All right. Cool. It seems like it's fine now. It looks like it's good. Okay. Yeah, the music is supposed to be really quiet, so if it is quiet, it is supposed to be. It has. Ooh, we just ordered some of your merch. You're very excited to receive it. Excellent. I got it. I need to check up on my Teespring. Is something I like have really done a lot with recently, and I got an email from them that they were discontinuing a lot of the products that I use, and they were replacing them with new products. And so now I have to completely remake like half of the items that are on my Teespring storefront. They got rid of like the women's fitted t-shirts. They got rid of some of the unisex options. I don't know why. They're just like, oh, we're getting rid of these items. So like next week, those are going to be unavailable. Out of nowhere. I don't know why. I'm assuming it's some kind of supply chain issue, because everything is pretty much always a supply chain issue these days. But I'm glad that you got some stuff that you liked, and let me know how you like it for sure. No, they're not the cherry ones. I actually, the only candy canes I was able to find, they had Sour Patch Kids ones, they had the Oreo ones that I got, and then they had just regular candy canes. And I know that I've seen the cherry ones, I just didn't see them at Target. I feel like that would be more of a Walmart thing or like a grocery store thing. So that's where I'm gonna check next, because I'm sure the Oreo ones will be fine, or interesting at least, something to have a story about. But I do like having the sweet ones as well as the peppermint ones are good. Aren't those ones normally red with a white stripe though? Like they're mostly red and they have like a thin white stripe. I bought some at Michael's when picking up embroidery set. I'm about to have one. Ooh, let me know how you like it. I don't know when they started doing the whole crazy candy canes thing. Like, I don't know when that happened. Because I remember growing up, they had just like regular candy canes, and then normally they had like fruit ones, but they weren't like branded like Sour Patch Kids, Jolly Ranchers. It wasn't anything like that. It was just like fruit flavors. They were kind of like more neon colored. But for whatever reason, the last couple of years, they've decided, you know what? We can make anything into a candy cane flavor if we just believe. And so they did. And so they did. You know what? They had so many, I swear like half the Target chocolate area, like where they have all the candy and stuff for Halloween. Oh, Halloween. Well, they do have Halloween stuff there when it's Halloween, but for the seasonal products for Christmas time, they had a lot of like white chocolate was everywhere. They had like white chocolate everything. There was not a single chocolate item in the entire area of the Christmas section that didn't have dairy in it, which was very disappointing for me. I'm like, really? Seriously? Because even the Dove dark chocolate has milk in it. All of the very mainstream kind of off-the-shelf brands of chocolate you get, even the dark chocolate stuff, the Ghirardelli, the Lindt, they all still have added milk fat. And I'm like, why? It's a dark chocolate. Isn't it the whole point that it's whatever? It's just like, come on, seriously? Must be really frustrating for people, like, because I'm just vegan, so I can, like, it's a choice. But, like, if you're somebody that has a dairy allergy and you just want to have some freaking holiday candy, like, why do you make it so difficult, you know? Ooh, the DC Kink Club is doing a flea market tomorrow. What's something you'd get from there? Oh, I don't know what they have at the flea market. I recently got a blindfold again for the first time in like a really long time, and I got balls to go on a gag, but I don't actually have a strap for the gags that I like yet. So I'd probably look for like some kind of interchangeable ball gag or maybe a bondage belt. There was something else I was thinking of that I don't. Oh, no, I got a blindfold. What was the other thing I was thinking that I was like, oh, I don't have this, but I really would want to have one? What was it? That was like a really like a basic kink thing that I'm like, oh, I don't have this anymore and I wish I had it again. I'm like going through my toy bag in my head trying to remember, what is it that I'm missing? That I wish I had. I think it might just be the gag part. Like I actually need like something to attach the balls for the ball gag to. That's what I need. I always like looking at kind of whatever unique, interesting impact play toys they have, like canes, floggers, paddles. Usually people have a lot of cool stuff for that. That's like unique and custom made. And generally like any kind of bondage sort of thing. A lot of people do woodworking, like stocks and pillories and things of that nature. And I love looking at those in person and harnesses. So I'd probably just browse, but I don't really have the budget to get anything, so I probably wouldn't buy anything unless it was like an oh my gosh, I'll never find this again, you know? I could do, I don't know, what does a wall tree look like? What? I feel like I know what that idea is, but I've never seen one in person. Wall tree with garland. Is it, do you make it, oh! Okay. Oh, yeah, that's cute. I don't know if I can put wood on my walls though. Can I do it with command hooks? Yeah, I can see that. That's really nice for like cramped spaces, I bet. And I definitely have a cramped space, so yeah, it's a nice idea. I love that. There were definitely lots of garlands at the store and very few trees. Alright, where is my YouTube chat? There we go. The Oreo canes are decent. Hint of chocolate and the cream middle flavor is good. I also bought some Hershey's chocolate mint candy canes. Oh, those sound good. Those sound good for sure. Hang it upside down from your ceiling like a chandelier. Very avant-garde. I mean, I do have a ceiling, and I don't have any lights in my ceiling, so I could kind of put anything I wanted on the ceiling and not worry about running into electrical stuff. So I love the idea. I love it kind of reminds me of, I have a neighbor who leaves their apartment window open all the time, and so I'm outside walking Bandit, I see their, like, ceiling, and they've done the thing where they have, tapestries and stuff that they've pinned along the ceiling. And they do it to where like it arches down and then comes back up, so it kind of looks like, I don't know, the inside of a tent or something maybe. Oh, that's a good idea. Pina colada and caramel apple, wait, together? Or a pina colada candy cane and a caramel apple candy cane? Because that's important, because if they're all together, that is like one of those like joke jelly bean flavors that's like, you know, one of the gross ones, right, that you get as a kid. I'm like, ew, those flavors are gross together. Alright, sorry, I'm jumping around the chat. Let's get back. I do try to answer stuff in order. FYI, sometimes I see things and I have to talk about it right then in the moment. Like candy cane reviews, obviously. You don't need to justify taking a break from work. Everyone needs breaks. Everyone does need a break. Oh, I have like lipstick all over this. Ugh. This is why I know that liquid lipstick is no longer the trend. I know I'm gonna probably be a 60-year-old lady still wearing liquid lipstick, but I wore lipstick today so I could wear gloss with it, and there's a reason we invented liquid lipstick, okay? There's a reason. Bandit is a dwarf reindeer, the Secrets of Pomeranians. I'm not gonna say that she's not a reindeer. And I have seen her fly before, I'm pretty sure. I think I've seen her fly. Don't have any video evidence of it, but some of the ways she used to jump off of things sure looked like flying. And she spins around really fast, which I feel like is a precursor to flying in some respects. Okay, we got a question here from Watermus888. By the way, I know we're chatting about Christmas and seasonal stuff, and feel free to ask about stuff like that. You can also just answer or ask general BDSM questions. We do love audience participation here at the Evie Lupine live stream 2 hours, I guess. I recently entered into a DS dynamic. I am wondering how to ask for punishment without bratting and without breaking the dynamic. Advice. Okay. Kind of want Bandit while I think about this. Where are you, honey? Hi, sweetie. You want to come up? Hi. Oh, we're sleepy, girl. Do you want to stay in your bed? Come on. Come on. You can do it. Come on. Yes. Good girl. Hi, sweetie. Yeah? Where's the other people? Hi. Do you want to help me answer questions? Do you want to help me answer questions? I know you're upset I was gone early today. You really wanted to go to Target with me. She wanted to go to Target with me so badly. She was like, please don't leave me here. But she has a little furbo that watches her when I'm gone, so she's safe. Okay, so how to ask for punishment without bratting and without breaking the dynamic. So I'm assuming what you're saying is like, how do you ask for that without asking for it? Because obviously the most direct way to get this problem solved is to go outside of the relationship dynamic and talk as like egalitarian human beings. I don't know if your relationship is like 24/7 or what. If it's not 24/7, then I think you just have a lot of room to say, hey, next time we do something BDSM-y, I'd like to do this. But if you are more 24/7 and you don't really have a way to kind of break that DS energy, it can be hard to sometimes ask for things within a scene framework. So I think the easiest thing is just if you do have time that you talk to each other that's outside of a DS sense, that just like regular people that see each other and have a thing they do together, that is when I bring up the idea. And I think even that can be difficult because then it's like, especially as a submissive, you don't want to like tell other people how to dominate you because then that doesn't feel very submissive. But I think partly you just kind of have to get over it, to be honest. But the answer for that is just bring up like, hey, I've really been enjoying the stuff that we've been doing together. Something I've really been interested in trying, if you're into it, is I like to do kind of a punishment scene. Do you know what that is? And then you talk about what punishment is and why you like it and what you'd want to try, and then you see if they like it, and then you negotiate for it the same way that you would any other scene. But if you want to get into punishment from like a DS perspective, from actually doing it in more of a scene, without bratting, see, it's if you were to work together with your partner to make a scene, it would be a lot easier to do this, because I think the thing that comes to mind for me is like confessing to like breaking a rule that's not really a rule that you like haven't broken. But then if they don't know that you're asking for a punishment because you've never done it before, they're not gonna get necessarily the wink wink nudge nudge part of that. They're gonna be like, but that wasn't a rule, what are you talking about? Like, no, you're not in trouble. Why are you taking off your pants? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What's going on? But I think if you have like a really solid like nonverbal communication, it might be able to work. But that could be something you could do where I'm trying to just something kind of silly and not serious, like or maybe you can do something that's kind of like role play related in terms of something more historical. Like you could say, oh, I'm sorry sir, I wasn't able to finish polishing the silver on time. And it's like, I don't own any silver, what are you talking? Oh. And then I think you have to sort of ask for what you want without like saying for them to do it to you. Like it would be like, oh sir, I'm so sorry I wasn't able to finish polishing the silver on time. I know that means you have to spank me now, and I know how much you hate doing that, and I'll try to take it the best I can for you, and you know it's so difficult for me. Like you have to like lead them into what it is that you want without saying it. I think in that scenario where it's like what you're saying is that you're kind of proposing in an indirect manner, here's what I want, we're gonna do a spanking, and it's gonna be because I'm your Victorian maidservant that has insufficiently polished the silverware. And they might be able to pick up on that if they're not into subtlety, if they don't read between lines, if that's not their communication style, that's not gonna work. But that is maybe one way that I would do it if you are with somebody that you do have kind of that more built up communication with, that's not going to break the dynamic. I mean, you can also, I guess it depends on how you exactly see punishment as well, because I think this wouldn't be bratting, but some people might call it topping from the bottom. I don't really care what those people think, to be honest. Like, they can call it whatever they want, topping from the bottom, communication skills, whatever. Their opinion doesn't matter because they're not in the relationship with you. But you can also just entice your partner physically into doing what you want them to do to you, especially if you guys have a more sexual BDSM relationship, right? So if you guys have more of like a sexual connection and maybe you do a lot of spanking, then maybe that means like mostly undressing, being around in your underwear, stockings, whatever it is they find like sexy, or whatever it is that you wear like during a spanking or during other types of impact play. And then you like go around the house and you wiggle your butt around and you kind of entice them a little bit verbally with stuff. Like maybe you would say, and again, I don't know what you want from a punishment scene to like insert what you want into this sentence, but you could say, you know, don't you think my butt looks so spankable right now? Or like, or you don't have to do like anything verbally, like just like physically like do something that you know they would find alluring for themselves, that would entice them to want to do something to you. And then you can ask them like, are you thinking about spanking me right now, or how do you feel about spanking me right now? And then you can kind of go in that more like playful direction. But I don't know if that counts as punishment, because you haven't really set up any sort of scenario where you're being punished for misbehaving, unless like taunting is considered misbehavior but not bratting. Because personally, I wouldn't consider that to be bratting. I would consider that to be flirtatious. Like for me, the thing that would make that bratting would be like talking back, or like correcting your partner, or insulting them, or I don't know, like actually really like breaking a rule on purpose and then being like proud of yourself for breaking the rule and being like, don't I deserve to be punished now? Like that is more what I would consider being bratty versus like trying to basically do like kinky foreplay essentially. So let me know if that helps answer your question. If you give me some more details or give me feedback about what I've said so far, I would be happy to follow it up, and I would love to hear what other people have to say about this one. You can take her to Lowe's. Company-wide, we enjoy when we get to love on fluffy customers. I can bring dogs inside of hardware stores? I don't know if you'd like being in a hardware store, honey. You guys can't see her anymore, but she's still on my lap. I don't know if you guys... Yeah, she's like this far below the camera now because she's sat down on my lap. I don't know if you guys can hear her on the microphone at all. Welcome, Glitter. Glad you can make it. We are answering some questions, asking some questions, all the above. All right. Next topic. So when we were talking about polyamory, and then we had a lovely little uninvited guest of Spam. Yeah, the poly video I watched from Anthony Padilla was really interesting. The impression I got, and I talked about this at the end of the video a little bit, it seemed like he was much more involved with the dominatrixes, and maybe that was because they were like physically present, and then for this one with polyamorous people, they were long distance, they were doing it over some kind of Skype, Zoom situation type of call, and so it seemed like he was less involved, and less, I guess, like curious about the throuple than he was about the dominatrixes, and maybe that's because he knows about it less, or is less interested in it, or is because he's in a really long-term monogamous relationship, I think, and so maybe he doesn't want to get too far into it as a subject. I don't know, whatever reason. I mean, I think he did overall a really good job. I felt it was less personal. Hi, what are you doing? Did you snort at me? Hi. I see you wagging your tail. I see that little tail wagging. Hi. All right. Yeah, poly is different from person to person. And I think that's, on the one hand, I'm like, at least he didn't say he was interviewing polyamorous people and then only interviewed triads. But I just feel like triads are such a narrow form of polyamory that starting there is almost kind of like, it almost is kind of like presenting master-slave relationships as being like all of BDSM. Like most people that do BDSM are not in MS relationships. Most people that are in poly relationships aren't in triads, and I think in both scenarios a lot of people really glorify and want to be in those scenarios, but they're very difficult to find compatible partners for, because with triads, especially when they're closed triads, like you have to find people that are all equally into each other at the same time, and it's just really a big juggling act. I actually think it's harder to be in a triad than it would be to be in a polycule with 6 people. Like being in a, like, well, this one's my boyfriend, this one's my friends with benefits, and this is my boyfriend's girlfriend. Like when they're all very fluid and open, and they're kind of whatever they are, I feel like that's very different from 3 people being like equally committed to each other and being equally into each other. Like there just is so much more of a tightrope walk to navigate, in the same way that like DS relationships can be so many other things and be formed in so many ways, but like MS has a much narrower definition and a much narrower way of being able to be done that like actually fits within most people's definition of what MS is. But I am also hopeful he'll do more interviews with more polyamorous people of different varieties and more kinky people, like especially because he's interviewed furries, therians, and ABDLs. I don't know why he hasn't talked to pet players before. Like I feel like to me that's the next natural step after those conversations is like, what about the pet players? What about the pet players? We still exist. We're still out there. Maybe we're not as interesting as furries. Maybe we're just like, maybe he just thinks we're less interesting furries. I don't know. That's the only thought I have. Ooh, you're going to a whip taster tomorrow. That sounds very exciting. There is somebody around here that's really into whips that does do tasters for whips at parties. Like occasionally, but it's just like the one guy. Like he just shows up with whips and is like, hey, who wants to try this out? It's not really organized just for whips thing. They do have, or at least they used to back in the day, they used to have organized like a whip practice group where it was about whips and learning about whips. What do we think, honey? Do you want to stay up here? Do you want to go back down? I don't know what that look means. Use your words, honey. But you can't because you're a doggo. Okay, I think she wants it down. Yeah, she's done. All right, so say goodbye. Say goodbye. She had little bells I put on her collar, but they fell off. And so no more bells. She sounded like a little reindeer. And then they fell off on a walk. And so, oh well. Oh well. Goodbye. Oh, what was I talking about? Oh, so tomorrow I am going actually to another party. I went to my first ever kink event in 2 years at the beginning of November, and they're having a party again this month, but it's not a beginner's party. It's, how do I even describe what this party is? Because it's one it's a party type I've never been to before. And I know that they had one like this way back in the day, like before I used to go here. And I'll try to describe it accurately. Because they have like a masturbation and orgy party that I haven't gone to. So this is supposed to be about sensuality and BDSM together. So, yes. Okay, so there's going to be alternative music and like a big dance floor. And then there's going to be like on one level, and then the other level there's going to be like just regular BDSM. So it's like a beginner party. So basically everything that they allow at their parties is going to be there. So like bloodplay is allowed. Yeah, the only thing they are explicitly like don't do is solo masturbation, which is why they have the masturbation parties for people who want to do that, because they don't allow it at the other parties. So I'm very excited about this one. I personally have had really good experiences at dance parties in terms of when they're mixed at BDSM events. There was a venue that I used to go to that had like goth industrial like fetish nights, which is really fun to go to, where they didn't have any actual BDSM activities. Like there weren't any places for equipment or scenes, anything like that. It was just like fetish attire encouraged, and then the music was like industrial EBM, that kind of wheelhouse of stuff, and dancing to that was like so much fun. And I would just dance for like an hour or two, and there was a bar there as well, so it was like there was drinking and stuff, which I wasn't as big of a fan of. But the last time I went there, it was like they didn't clean up after the drag show that happened right before, and so there was like, there were broken bottles on the floor was like sticky, like it felt really unsafe and unclean, and especially through the pandemic, I'm like, I don't know about that. I'll probably go back again at some point in the future if they keep having those parties, which I'm not sure if they're still around. I'll have to check. But I had a really fun time going to that back in the day. And I like the combination. Like, that was my main complaint when I went back to this dungeon again last month, is the music was so quiet. I could barely hear it. And it was like somebody just put on a playlist and then like didn't check it for the rest of the night. They just had it on like a little speaker in the back. And I know that venue. I know that they host regular like non-BDSM like raves and music parties, so they have like a good sound system, but they just had it really quiet off of like one speaker in one part of the downstairs, and it's a 2-level space, and so the upstairs didn't have any music at all, and the downstairs was like so quiet. And oh my, the first song they played, I'm not kidding, the first song they played, Marilyn Manson. I was like, are you guys fucking serious? The first song is Marilyn Manson. And there was Rob Zombie stuff on there as well, so it was clearly just some kind of like, I don't know, shock rock mix of some shape or form. And there was like a couple other Manson songs that played. I was just like, oh my god. I just can't. Like, I know some people can separate the art from the artist and still really enjoy Manson's music and still, you know, enjoy the memories they have to his music, I suppose. I just can't do that, because what I do is I think about when I know when certain songs or albums were written, and then I know the stories from the women that Mason was with at that time. And I'm like, oh, so like when he was making this music video, that was around the time when he like chased Esme Bianco around the house with an axe and then threatened to kill her. Like, I'm just like, I just can't, my brain, like, especially doing BDSM. It would be one thing if it was like on in the background of the gym or something, but in a BDSM space where I'm trying to relax, I'm trying to enjoy being in my community, I'm trying to, you know, just have a nice time. And like, if in one ear the whole night all I'm hearing is like this guy that's like a really shitty person that I don't want to listen to ever again, I don't want to support ever again, like, it's hard. It's hard to separate from that. So, not my biggest complaint. I'm just like, from what I've seen, of what I know, they have like a DJ that's going to be there for this party. So I like, listen, they hired a DJ. They have to make use of the whole sound system at that point, right? They're just going to have one speaker on in the back. So I'm hopeful that for this party they're going to be bringing out the stops a little bit more when it comes to actually making sure the sound works. Here, let me I'm gonna adjust myself here really quick. Looking at the Nightmare for Christmas sweater once again. Whoop whoop. I should have did my eyeshadow and stuff to match her hair. But I could have done my eyeshadow to match her eyeshadow now that I think about it. Missed opportunity. I'm really thirsty. I need water. Oh, I'm too far away now. I made the problem different and not better. Okay. No, I need to be more... I'm trying to turn over all these cords. Okay, I think that's it. There we go. I'm back. I end up slowly gravitating this way, and so I have to readjust occasionally. Oh my gosh. Water is exactly what I needed. I love your recent video on pain tolerance. I've been out of BDSM since my dog left me in full restricted quarantine last year. Trying to come back was disastrous. I'm definitely out of practice. Well, I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I think a lot of us are very much in the same place. I know at this party I'm going to next tomorrow, I'm not planning on doing anything intense, like, at all. Like, it's going to be very, like, sensation focused, very sensual. It's not going to be anything pain focused, really, unless the music ends up being really good and the mood gets there. I'll negotiate around that. But otherwise, I'm not planning on doing anything pain based. I'm like, oh yeah, I don't want to like have that pressure on myself to perform pain wise. Not that anyone I would be playing with would have any expectations about that, because I don't play with people that are judgmental assholes about pain tolerance. And if they're with me, they should know better, because if they don't, I will teach them. But yeah, I think it was just one of those things that like was in my head, and I'm really glad that it helped you. And I know for a lot of us, even if we maybe had really high pain tolerance before quarantine or before the end of a really important kink relationship during quarantine, our pain tolerance is like right now, right? Because we haven't had any practice. And I've even done, like I said in the video, like I've done self-play scenes. I've done, like I've completely blackened my own thighs and everything and bruises like a couple times through the course of quarantine. And still, even with that, like doing it with another person is just so different. And different things are different. What can I say? I don't know. I do have some of those fake ugly sweater kinds of t-shirts with with porgs from Star Wars. Oh, wait, are those the little creatures that are on the cliffside? Are those the things with the blue milk, or is that in the same... Is that the thing that Jenny Nicholson is really obsessed with, or the porgs? Oh, yeah, the little, they're kind of like halfway between an owl and a penguin. Or like a puffin and an owl? Trying to figure out, because porg almost seems like it could be a word combination. I guess you know what I'm going to do after this? I'm probably going to play Witcher. That's what I'm thinking about. TBH. I think if they're like, and a Home Alone parody, if it's like seasonally themed with a brand, then I'm okay with it. It's like one of those ones that attempts to look like a fake grandma's sweater that clearly was made in a factory. Like, that's when it bothers me. Okay, we have a super chat from Mr. Beansman. Do you have any advice for navigating the high school drama tell me more. That forms between social groups. There's a lot of animosity between my local dungeon and some people in my local munch groups. Let me think about this for a second. Because I live in a community that I wouldn't say... How do I don't want to say too much. I don't want to say too much. But my local community, we're not impervious to drama, but what does end up happening is people get catty behind the scenes but never want to say anything directly about anyone or to anyone. And so what ends up happening is instead of actually resolving issues, they just fester slowly in the background for years, and only people that are like immediately friends with the other person knows what's going on. And that gets really annoying when you're trying to go to a munch and you're like, oh, well, I can't go to this munch because this person's at it and they're not friends with this person anymore, and because, you know, I'm friends with their ex, they don't want to see me anymore, and blah, blah, blah. It just gets really confusing. And so we basically have a Cold War technique here, is what I would say. We have very much a Cold War way of dealing with drama, as opposed to, I don't know, like call out posts on FetLife, or vague booking about it on Facebook, or subtweeting people, or whatever the equivalent of that stuff is on like FetLife and other kink social media platforms. But okay, is the problem like in general you want to help the people be together, or is it like you feel like you have to choose between your local dungeon and some people at your munch, and like, for example, the people at your munch are making you feel like you can't go to certain dungeon parties that people are at because they're not friends with them, and they're like making you choose between friend groups? I'll think about that for a second. I know we have another super chat, so I'm gonna read that one real quick while I think about this one. Tika Black says, good evening, Evie. I'm planning a feeder scene by tying up my girlfriend and testing my Santa's brownie treats on her. LOL. Do you or the chat have any recipes you'd like to share? For brownies? Oh, I'm sure I have some bookmarked. Let me see what I got. I really think that, like dark chocolate brownies with like something peppermint in them, like either, like little bits of crushed candy cane or like peppermint white chocolate chips would be really good, TBH. Because usually what I do is I actually don't usually use vegan recipes for brownies. I just use a regular recipe for brownies and then I substitute in vegan ingredients. So like, for example, like the one I'm gonna link has 2 eggs in it. I just use I think this one is more like a Texas sheet cake, if you guys have ever had that. It's got like a Texas sheet cake type frosting on it. Remember when those were a thing? Those were for my childhood. So anyways, that's the recipe I've used in the past. It's not the best one. It's not like customized for Christmas or anything, but it is the one that I go to, and then I just like modify it. But then it also, you have to ask, do you want a chewy or a cakey brownie? Because that's another important factor, okay? Do you want to like fudgy and goopy or like cake-like? Because those are also going to be different recipes. Alright, so getting back to the question about local dungeon, social group things. And by the way, for links, if other people want to share links, you probably won't be able to because I don't have everyone on my live stream as a chat moderator. But if you guys want to say the website where the brownie recipe is from, or the name of the recipe and where it's from, that would probably be the better way to share it. Because otherwise I can't, like... The only way I can make you guys be able to share links is if I make you all mods, and that might get confusing. So anyways, local dungeon, local munch... I don't know. It's like, you think people always talk about how high school drama is so stupid, and then they inevitably get into it as adults and they literally can't help themselves in any way. Because then there's animosity, and then there's like, well, so-and-so doesn't like so-and-so because they used to date and then they broke up and now they don't like each other, they don't want to associate. And then there's like, there's animosity, but it's because the guy that runs the local munch like violated consent at this dungeon numerous times, and so he doesn't like the dungeon because he got banned and he feels upset, he feels entitled to belong there, and then the dungeon doesn't like him because he's an abuser. And so like where on this spectrum of like serious to mild and pointless is the drama, right? Because it's like high school drama, but like when you hear something like that third, fourth, fifth hand, like what can actually be the source of it can get kind of diluted. And like if it is something really serious, like this person has consent violation accusations against them, this person's abusive, what have you, then like I don't know if I'd call that drama necessarily, even if people like treat it that way. But if it's just like, I don't know, so and so is threatened by this other guy because his flogging skills are so much better, I'm like, I don't know, can't you guys just like work it out and just get over it? Honestly, I just ignore it. Like that's really, I know it's hard when you like are trying to make friends and you want to be friendly in both groups and get along with people, because I think people do expect you're going to choose a side, right? And like, are you going to be on the wrong side or the right side? You're going to be on our side or their side? And if you're in a position where they're making you choose, like that's shitty. You're an adult, you're not a teenager. If it's really something that's not like a crime or like a consent issue, like it's their fucking problem. Like if you're upset that your ex-boyfriend runs the local munch, like I don't know, that sounds like a you problem, boo. This sounds like a you thing, not like an everyone else kind of a thing. Sharing brownie recipes that we roast and keep kids out of the chat. Well, listen, if they knew how to make their own brownies, they'd never eat dinner again. So I think we do have to keep the recipes away from them. Oh, now I can't remember. I had a train of thought, and then I saw people talking about bananas, and then I lost my thought. What do you guys think of the lights in the background? I have like a bunch of different Christmas light options, and I'm just kind of like, I'm gonna cycle through them and see how we feel about different lights as we go through the season. Per the sides, go the Treebeard route. Answer them very slowly so they stop talking to you. Yeah, you could also do like chili powder if you want to do like a Mexican hot chocolate or like a Mayan like style thing. That's what they get called up here in the north, but I'm sure like in Mexico they probably just call them brownies because they're like, of course it has cinnamon and chili powder in it. Why wouldn't it? Everything that's sweet needs a little bit of spice, right? My voice. Well, I know it's like, it's hard because I think when you think about it in the abstract and it's other people, it's easy to go like, oh, well, it doesn't really matter, you know, who cares about drama? But when it's personally involving you and your friend group and people are expecting you to pick sides, like, it's really hard. Like what I would probably do if somebody was really getting on me about picking a side about something that I honestly didn't feel that strongly about, like I would just tell them. I would just be upfront and be like, hey, I know this seems like it's really important to you, but I want to make sure you understand, like, I want to keep going to both these events. They're both really great events. I don't see why I can't go to one if I go to the other, and I hope you can respect that. And if you can't, that sucks, but that's not my problem. Like, basically is what I would say, because it's about their feelings. It's not really about your feelings. Again, as long as it's like an inconsequential thing that doesn't really matter and it's just like literally silly pettiness about things that don't really affect anyone. Oh, true. Yeah, I just get really uncomfortable when I hear a lot of talking behind backs in a munch. I just want everybody to get along. Oh, that stuff happens all the time here. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm kind of I am a bitch that loves a little bit of drama. I'm not gonna lie, but I don't gossip behind people's backs. Like, that's just unnecessary. It causes a lot of problems. Because then everyone always feels like everyone else is talking about them behind their backs. Like, how do you have an open, honest, like healthy community environment to do something as vulnerable as kink in, when people are like talking about your scenes or talking about your relationship behind your back. And this really ruined a lot of my own friendships in my local community, unfortunately. And I had somebody that I was really close to that was telling me one thing to my face, and then I found out after the fact, like a month or two later, from someone else, that they were telling everyone else the exact opposite of what they were telling me. And I thought this was a really trustworthy person. I thought they were completely honest, and I really respected them a lot. And they just like completely changed my opinion about them, and I have not spoken to them since. And it sucks, but you know, once you understand and you realize that somebody's that two-faced, and you know, people are doing things like talking behind other people's backs, like I really just feel like you have to step away from that, because if they're doing it to someone else, they're probably going to do it to you too, because that is for some reason how they choose to operate in the world, and it's usually not limited to specific people only, right? So if there are individuals like that, I'd probably just stay away from those individuals. And if you really feel like being a little bit confrontational, you can, of course, like if you happen to be part of a conversation where people do start back talking others or bad mouthing others behind their back, like you can always talk to them about it later, maybe over like a DM on FetLife or something, and say like, hey, you know, I really like being at the munch this week, but it kind of made me uncomfortable that you were like talking behind other people's backs, like especially if it's like the event organizer or people that are like helping organize or volunteer at the event. Like if they're doing that stuff, then they absolutely need to be talked to about it. If it was just a random person, like maybe just let them know that it makes you uncomfortable, because they might not even necessarily be aware of like what they're doing as being upsetting or uncomfortable. They just might think it's normal, and this is like, oh, this is what everyone talks about, this is what everyone says at a munch, right? And they don't necessarily always realize that it's so hurtful or that it's petty. They just think, oh, well, this is what the kink community is like, doesn't everybody backtalk each other? And it's like, no, that's not how it works. Anyways, I've been rambling for a bit. Let's get back to some questions. One last question. Do you have any advice or videos of how to conduct a feeding scene? So feederism is on my hard limits list, so I don't personally have any resources for it. It's one of those things that I haven't even... The joke answer is like Nikocado Avocado's channel. That's the joke answer, is go watch some of Nikocado Avocado's videos. But no, feederism's on a hard limit list for me, so I don't really have any personal information about how to do it or what a scene like that would look like. Let me check something real quick. There might be a website I know of that could have a video about how to do this. Okay. So, I'm gonna put another link in the chat here in a second. So this is, I don't know if this is exactly what you're looking for, because this is definitely about, like specifically is tied to body weight as well. So this may not be what you're looking for, but the Kink Academy, it's behind a paywall, but they do have a lot of useful information about like some niche kinks or things that can be hard to learn about in person if your local area doesn't have people that teach stuff about this. But they have a 2 or 3 part, how many parts is this? Okay, they have a 2-part series that's talking about like how to do like feederism. So the description actually says, this clip is packed with useful information such as different ways one might play with a partner or what specifically turns people on about this. Also, you learn some terms, concepts, and popular acronyms. And it's kind of basically the gist of it anyways, I'll put a link to this, but that would kind of be where I would go to if you, it's from 2019, so it might be a little bit outdated, but that is the one website that I would check out to go to. I just really feel like, and this is me, so maybe you and your partner are like totally comfortable with things like this, and wait, did YouTube delete my link for this? Wait, give me a second. Did it not put in the link that I just typed in? Okay. So the link that I put in has not popped up on my Restream chat, but it has in YouTube. So I don't know what that means. I don't know what that's about. But I feel like you have to do a lot of, and forgive me if you've done this. I'm just gonna kind of more say this for the audience. But I would say that you really have to do a lot of like both introspective work about this if you're going into a scene that's related to this area of kink. And you also have to have lots of conversations about it, because I sort of treat it similarly to how I would treat humiliation, in that it can be really hot for people, but there's also a lot of potential emotional landmines that can be set on. By the way, the thing I'm playing with is a necklace, so if you guys see me fiddling, that's what I'm doing. I am always fiddling with something, but it is rarely seen on camera. So I'm trying to think of examples. Like, for example, like with humiliation, a lot of people find it really hot and really enjoyable, but it only works in very specific fashions. So they might be really comfortable with like slut shaming type stuff, you know, being called a slut, a whore, a slag, you know, getting made fun of for their sexual promiscuity, or having a small penis or whatever else. They may be really into that, but they might be really turned off by and offended by or even triggered by insults to their intelligence, right? And I think people look at humiliation and they assume, well, all humiliation, if you're into it, is like good humiliation. But in order for it to be enjoyable in kink, like, it has to be something that you're comfortable playing around with. And usually people have, Midori talks about this, people have like core pillars of their identity, and you have to avoid those core pillars. That could be intelligence, that could be physical looks, that could be certain talents or skills you have, things about your job, your ability to raise children, whatever else, you know, millions of things potentially. You have to identify whatever those pillars are and then avoid those pillars and hone in on the things that are like safer to play with. And similarly, I think with like feeders and stuff, especially when it comes to things around like body image and the way that your body looks, certain bodily feelings, different bodily aspects, like they might be really comfortable exploring certain areas and really uncomfortable with other areas. So you have to be really detailed about what it is that you both want and where your comfort level is with certain things and where your triggers are. And especially if you're going into any sort of like role play element, a lot of people have a lot of traumatic memories related to like food in childhood, like, you know, being forced to sit at a table for hours because they refused to finish dinner, you know, being humiliated at school in a lunchroom because you know, some kid making a mean comment about them, having to hide in the bathroom during high school to eat lunch because no one wanted to be friends with you. Like, food and eating in meal times can be a pretty broad area for a lot of people's negative past memories, triggers, traumas, etc. And so you have to be really, really careful in knowing what those areas are and not going into them unless you explicitly decide on purpose you want to play around with that and are prepared to deal with the potential consequences therein. So that's my spiel about that. I mean, really, that was about a bunch of different kinks, honestly. Like, at the end of the day, I think no matter what you're doing, even if it's like a simple impact play scene, the more you know about yourself and why you want to do something, and the more you communicate that to others, the easier and better scenes you're going to have, ultimately, I think, personally. All right, next question. Next question. I feel like this would be a really good, like, hypnosis thing. Because it got, like, kind of round on the end. Anyways, not that I know anything about doing hypnosis. Far from something in my skill set. Can we see Sweet Bandit? Oh, well, Bandit was here earlier. She has returned to her bed and she would like to stay there, I think. So, she was on screen though, but she may return at the very end if she can be coaxed out of her nice little sleepy, warm hidey hole that she's currently in. Oh, maybe it could be the snow was like tripping YouTube out. Maybe that's it. That could be it. I'll look into that later. Bandit is great. God, she gave me such a heart attack the other day. I can't even, Like, it's not even that big of a deal for me. I was like, no, don't do it. So I had Bandit on my bed, and I put her on the bed sometimes because when I'm working out, she really likes to try and play with me because she thinks that workout time equals playtime because the human is moving in funny ways. And so I was doing my ab workout, and she was like trying to paw at my face. And I was like, no. So she went up on the bed. I put her up on the bed. She didn't like fly up there. I put her on the bed. And there's a blanket up there, and she was trying to make a bed out of the blanket. And as she was trying to make the bed and trying to make the blanket into a bed, she does this thing where she, you know, like she like is moving her paws, like trying to scrape at the blanket, you know, move it and get it in just the right position. And as she's doing that, she like moves too far and like slips off the bed, and I like catch her because I'm on the floor doing my ab exercises. She's like falling on top of me, so I catch her as she's like falling off of my bed, and I like, it's like, oh my gosh, you can't do this, like your leg is still injured, like you can't be falling off of beds. So no more Bandit on the bed, because I really do not want her to hurt herself again, because that would just mean more vet appointments, more waiting, more x-rays, more everything else. I'm still in a holding pattern with getting her into actually seeing a surgeon, and like I don't know why it's so difficult, like, and it's just because this isn't an emergency. Like, I know this was an emergency scenario, I would be able to get in somewhere, but because this is literally like it's necessary, but it's not immediately necessary. Like, it's, I don't know what a comparable human operation would be, but it's like one of those things where you can wait a long time for it and it's like basically fine, but you do have to get it done eventually. And so because of that, we're just like constantly on like the bottom pile of like getting scheduled for things, and it's so annoying. But it really doesn't like stop her from living her everyday life at this point. She loves going on walks, she loves digging in the grass, she loves doing all her normal doggy stuff. I just have to make sure she doesn't overdo it, because she doesn't know what her limits are, and she will overdo it and will go too far. Oh, yeah, the cherry ones can be pink. Yeah. Do you see polyamory as part of LGBTQ+, or what is your take on this discussion? Great question, Daniel. Great question. So I always have to start off my spiels about this with just saying that our phrasing, our terminology we currently use around sexual orientations is our current best guess at what we think is helpful to categorize humans to help identify each other and communicate something like important socially and personally. And I don't think the system is perfect. I think it's going to keep evolving. I'm sure in 50 years, 100 years, we're going to have completely new language and terminology to define our orientations and our preferences. Personally, I consider polyamory to be something that is outside of LGBT like plus, but is related to it in the fact that it's more of like you guys, if you're on Tumblr, you probably heard of this term, and I actually don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Mogai, Mogwai. That's how I remember it being pronounced, or Mogi, or like the other abbreviations for it. And what did it stand for? It was like marginalized orientations. Oh, I gotta look this shit up. Just tell me what is marginalized orientations, gender alignments, and intersex. I love how intersex is tacked on in the end there, which I find to be funny. So this is sort of like a more broad terminology, and I think it works. It's like related to LGBTQIA+, etc., but it's like a explicitly more inclusive terminology, because like what counts as being under the LGBT+ umbrella is constantly under contention, and I feel like marginalized orientations is much more broad. Like, I would consider polyamory to be something that can both be a relationship style preference and a choice and an orientation, but an orientation that is separate from sexual orientation and gender orientation. And I feel like there shouldn't be any conflict with that. I feel like people always do this. It doesn't matter what group you're in. Punks, goth, BDSMers, furries, it doesn't matter. If you're part of some kind of like ostracized group, you're really going to hate it when more things potentially could be added into your group because you feel like you're losing the exclusivity, right? And even if it's not technically part of the LGBT plus or gender identity spectrum, whatever else, just the fact that a different aspect of that is added on is going to upset people. I would consider it maybe like a relationship style orientation, maybe. I'm not sure what language I would use for it, but it is certainly marginalized. Like, I don't like polygamy, plural marriage is illegal everywhere in the US and especially in Utah. Like, there is consistent government level across the federal spectrum and across states. There is discrimination against it politically and socially and legally. So I feel like that meets every possible definition of marginalized, and it certainly isn't accepted in broader society, because as much as I personally don't like unicorn hunters, I don't like people that lie about who they are to get someone else to be in a relationship with them, be that, you know, going on a first date with a guy, going on a second date, and then telling him 3 dates in that you have another boyfriend you haven't mentioned, and you're hoping that they're hoping that you're going to be a third, or a woman of a heterosexual couple joining a lesbian dating site to find a third for their, you know, bedroom stuff. Like, those are all negative things. But unfortunately, people use those things to kind of paint all of polyamory as being a negative or cult-like or toxic or abusive or any of a litany of other things. And I think that either dislike all the way over to outright discrimination is going to keep happening for a really long time, but I think it has to exist in some other kind of access, because like, there is and I've read like books from actual therapists and psychiatrists about this, and there is like a relationship preference spectrum. Like there is like different people have different varying levels of preferences for different relationship types, and that can be, you know, it's like literally the Kinsey scale, but it's not for sexual orientation, it's for like relationship style, from only ever being monogamous and only ever wanting complete exclusive monogamous relationships, like not ever having sex with anyone else ever, all the way over to like complete relationship anarchy, not using any kind of formal relationship titles at all, and just having everything be a total free-for-all, right? And then somewhere in the middle where you're sort of ambivalent between the two, and you could be happy in monogamy or polyamory as long as it's like, you know, the people you're in relationships with are fulfilling you sufficiently. So, and I think people can sometimes be okay with moving closer to one or the other. They can be, you know, some people have a very weak preference for monogamy, and they can be okay in polyamory, and vice versa. Again, making sure their needs are being met, obviously. I just think it has to exist in some kind of other spectrum that we're not having conversations around yet. And I say that I think it's something that could be like an orientation, because I both know people that are like myself, where like polyamory is like very largely a practical choice, not entirely, but very largely a practical choice of, I am asexual. I know that between my asexuality and my BDSM preferences, it is very difficult to have one partner that can be everything that I want them and need them to be, and vice versa. And so it makes like practical sense to have an open relationship where accessing other things from other people is more acceptable. And I also don't like a lot of the things about monogamy that sort of treats jealousy as something that should be glorified and is a positive thing. I don't like the jealousy and non-negotiated possessiveness that happens over just the most mundane things, like looking at a person in a grocery store, having somebody, you know, buy your food ahead of you in line at Starbucks. Like just things that should not be considered relationship threats are suddenly very threatening. Whereas in polyamory, you kind of just go, okay, that's great, and then you just move on, right? And you know, that's just me though. And I know other people that it is entirely a choice they choose to make for whatever reason, and other people where they knew from a really young age, they knew from when they were first getting into relationships, maybe not when they were as young as when they were discovering their sexual orientation, but, you know, high school, middle school, whenever you kind of first start getting romantic feelings for the people you're attracted to, they kind of always knew, well, why can't I date multiple people? Like, why is there always a love triangle that ends with picking one person? Why can't the love triangle all stay together? Like, why can't I have two girlfriends? Like, really, and just having this deep questioning of the way this system works of dating, and feeling like you don't fit into that, and that you would be happier having something more expansive, and then you have the ability and the desire to have multiple relationships, and not having that makes you feel unfulfilled in some way, or it makes you upset. And I know people that are like that, and yeah, I think it's more complicated than just like, this is the sorts of people you like having sex with, this is the sort of person you're attracted to. Like, it can be both a preference and an orientation, I think, at the end of the day. Anyways, that is my 2 cents on that. Thank you for letting me ramble. I'm very curious to hear what all y'all think about that. Ooh, just finished prepping a bunch of food for your sister's baby shower. How exciting! Congrats! I've never actually been to a baby shower. I don't know what they're like. The movies have informed me about what they could be like, and that makes me nervous. I've been to a wedding shower before. No babies were involved, though. No potential babies, anyways. I'm stuck in an endless feedback loop of kink, kink shame, the world, history, religious conservatism, and general self-hatred and misery. That sounds very overwhelming, Erica, I will say. I always worry if I do kink, no real partner will want me, so I have a running philosophical and practical question of when it is and isn't safe to explore a kink and or meet up with people on FetLife. I totally understand that feeling, and I know it can be really overwhelming, especially if you are dealing with kind of internalized issues from like maybe a personal history dealing with like religious conservatism and like kink shame that came from like being raised in a certain household that had certain opinions about sex. Totally understand all of that, and especially like feeling safe or not feeling safe. I definitely have a lot of issues over like when things feel safe or not, and feeling things are unsafe maybe when they would actually be safe. And it's really hard to hack your brain into feeling safe when it feels like it shouldn't be. So I totally understand that. But I hope that you are able, I don't know if you want advice, so I'm not gonna give you any unasked for advice, but I will just say that I understand what that's like, and I hope that you are able to get to a point where you feel safe exploring kink, and that you feel safe meeting up with people on FetLife, and that you find a way to kind of break out of that negative feedback loop that you're not enjoying being in. Triads are like the fetish for monogamous people, especially the closed ones. Well, see, and I talked about that in the video I did. Is the way, and literally one of the couples said that. And look, I even called them a couple just now. I don't like the word throuple, because the word throuple is literally a couple with 3 people. And that is not how, and listen, I haven't checked the comments for that video recently, and I'm sure somebody told me at least once that I'm being very judgmental. I personally don't think it's healthy to look at polyamory as, and I had to restrain myself from talking about this in the video, I don't think it's healthy to look at polyamory as being the same thing you do in a couple with one more person, because being in polyamory is fundamentally, especially socially and legally, very different from being monogamous and being in a close monogamous couple. I think you have to treat it differently than being monogamous, because it's not being monogamous. like, I get the sentiment in the sense of like, oh, we're not that different from other people, we're not that different from other relationships, but like, but again, different things are different. Different things are different. And I think it's this thing that, and I think this is the reason maybe Anthony went there first, is closed triads are the closest thing to a fidelis? I guess fidelis, right? Fidelis monogamous relationship. And, or at least what they think that looks like, right? A lot of monogamous relationships involve a lot of cheating, a lot of lying, a lot of dishonesty, a lot of emotional infidelity, shall we say. And so it looks very comfortable and people are very okay being around that, but I don't think that's actually what like most poly looks like or what most good poly looks like, because again, it's like the whole thing with like, oh, I'll never have to be alone. It's like, oh, I see, we are just using this as a tool to avoid our negative feelings and using other people to solve our attachment issues without addressing it directly. Awesome. Great, we love it. And I have to say, the triad with 3 guys made me way more uncomfortable than the triad with the 2 women and the guy, because I feel like the 3 guys were very, I'm sure they're all happy together, but I just felt like they had a lot of like, they had conveniently somehow made up a relationship that made it so they never had to confront any of their insecurities. And I'm like, oh, this is definitely gonna not work out. This is gonna, at some point, there's gonna be a conflict that's gonna involve being alone, being in one part of the couple with the third being more like a third wheel or being separated. Like, there's gonna be those uncomfortable moments, and pretending they're not gonna happen and avoiding those scenarios is not going to help long term generally. But I try, like, I tried really hard to not be judgmental, but like in my own personal opinion, it's like people think that triads and closed triads are like the easiest thing because it's the most like being a couple, but once you get into poly, it's the hardest kind of relationship to have because you are expecting so much from the third person and such a deep level of compatibility. It's so hard to find one person that you can be that way with, that you can be with long term, that's on the same life path, that wants all the same things. Finding a third person that wants the same as 2 people and is on that same life path again, like that, you're getting majorly lucky if that's you, for sure. For sure. You had fab eyeshadow in the Thruples vid, very distracting in the best way. Thank you. I don't normally do blue eyeshadow because I feel like it doesn't look good on me, but I really loved that color combination. I felt like the blues that I found just really work super well with each other, and I'm mad because I forgot that I had blue eyeshadow, or I had blue lipstick, and I forgot that I had it. And so after I filmed the video, I was like, no, I gotta wear blue lipstick because I have literally nothing else to wear that blue lipstick with. And so I was so stuck with like, what lipstick color do I wear with this? Like purple, orange, what do I wear? And so I settled on like a really light nude color because I felt like that made the eyes pop the most. But I think going back, I do dark blue lipstick. Now that I remember I have that available to me. I would love a video in BDSM lifestyle relationship anarchist from Padilla. Oh yeah, I would love it because I feel like there's nothing that's more opposite of an RA person than like a closed throuple where you have completely avoided talking about any of your insecurities and you all wear the same clothes. Like complete opposite life philosophies there. Would be very interesting. I have been listening to Devo. I have. No, actually, I was, I think it was Wham. I think I listened to Wham in the car on the way home from Target. Would you want to be interviewed on Anthony's channel? I would. I would be terrified of being on his channel because he has so many subscribers and so many people would see the video. But I feel like it would be a really good platform to talk about things and reach people. But now I'm like, because I've reacted to his videos, does that like disqualify me? Does that disqualify me now that I've done that publicly? I wonder. No, I'd love to be on his channel because I just think it would be a really good way to like talk about the things I talk about on my channel to people that would never even think to search for it before. And hopefully like whether that be pet play, polyamory, being a BDSM lifestyle or whatever it is, I know those areas are all really misunderstood and poorly represented. And I would want to, like, hopefully help open the door to a better conversation around that with, like, a larger group of people. But who knows? I just don't know how they find people. I don't know how they find people to be in videos. Because I think in the Thruples video they did, one of the Thruples had a YouTube channel, and the other one was in a really viral Facebook video. I found out later when I was looking for pictures of them to use in the thumbnail. It looks like they did some kind of interview or some kind of story about their wedding, and that is maybe what put them on the map. So I don't know who contacted who or what order that happened in. Honestly, I don't know, but I would be into it. Bandit is Pomeranian. She is a Pomeranian. I know she doesn't look like most Pomeranians. She is kind of an unusual color, but I promise I have the testing. She is 100% Pomeranian. Yes. Oh yeah, yay, I'm glad. I'm glad you got to see Bandit. She is so sweet. She got something. What she got? She had like a really big red bow that I think is too big for her actually, that I kind of wanted to make her wear because it looks like she's a Christmas present with a big bow on her head. But she wasn't that much of a fan, so I try not to torture her that much as I want to. What I really want actually for Bandit is I really want her to have a sweater. I really want her to get like a big old comfy sweater. Oh my god, wait, what? Okay, we have 10 minutes left. So we gotta like, okay, fire rapid round. Give me your questions. I will answer as many of them as I can. Okay, let's go. I'm surprised I don't see much techwear / darkwear at events. Do you mean like the Matrix type stuff? What is tech? Is that Google Glass? Like what is techwear? Because that could be anything from like ravers that have LEDs in their like parachute pants to like Google Glass, and I don't know. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, that's a cute look. I like that. Yeah, oh, he has like a fake katana. Yeah, sort of the like cargo pants and like big sneakers and like a black hoodie or something. Yeah. Okay, I get the vibe. I get the steez. You know, around here, I feel like people would assume you were like Antifa, like you were affiliated with Antifa if you were something like this. But I feel like this is more like streetwear, and you actually, I mean, you see streetwear in the sense you see what people wear every day in kink parties, but like, I feel like this kind of fashion you don't really see with like the kind of, because it involves a lot of outerwear, I feel like, and then you don't really have that like at kink parties, I guess. I don't know. I can see why it would be appealing. I get the vibe. I just feel like it feels more like being a cool dude on the street going for a walk than it does like I'm about to spank somebody, I guess. Well, there's like Cyberdog, right? That's a very like famous British brand. I don't know what that counts as exactly. I actually went to the Cyberdog store in London, which is that Islington? Is that where Cyberdog is at? I probably completely. No, it's Camden. It's in Camden, not Islington. Islington's much more upmarket. I have been to the Cyberdog store. Didn't find a single thing I wanted to wear, sadly. But I feel like maybe that's the kind of fashion you were talking about. And I can see, I think there are some outfits on there. Like I'm seeing somebody that I'm pretty sure is like at a Torture Garden event. I feel like America is also very casual. I feel like if you went to a party in London or in Europe somewhere that was more kind of club plus BDSM happening, you would see more fashion like that. But here we're just, I mean, as America's reputation precedes itself, we are a very casual lot most of the time. Ooh, I have a package to pick up. I don't know what for, but I have a package. Okay, that's gonna be fun. I don't know what that could be about. What do I have a package for? I would love to come to Club Antichrist in London, but I don't know when I'm gonna be able to travel, unfortunately. Oh, maybe February at the earliest? I don't even know. I probably need like at least 4 months to plan a trip to Europe. I'd love to go. It's been so long. But that shit is expensive and I need a new camera more than I need to travel to Europe. So, yeah. I'll talk about this briefly. So I have a really nice lens and a really old camera. So the camera I have right now is a Lumix G7. I got it like 4 years ago. I bought it used. It was 3 years old at that point. And it's been having more issues, and it's really frustrating because I end up having to cut around a lot of parts in videos, and like, it's really annoying. It's always had the thing that, if you guys don't know about cameras, for YouTube, a lot of people do like Panasonic cameras, which is the kind of camera that I have. But because of the focusing system they use, it can notoriously go very badly and just decide to not focus on your face, no matter what setting you have. And I have troubleshooted everything. I've cleaned the sensors. Like I've done all the stuff you're supposed to do to make sure things are fully operational and functional. And I still have fairly consistent focusing issues, no matter what setting I seem to use it on. For a while there, I completely stopped taking like in focus photos of my face for thumbnails for like a solid 3 weeks, and like I just had to like completely reset everything, and I finally found a setting where it works again. And I don't know, it's just really annoying. It's on its last leg. It needs to be replaced, and they don't make it anymore. So I'm looking at getting another camera, and they just came out with a new update to a camera that came out like 2 years ago that was really popular, that's really supposed to improve a lot of the bad features about Panasonic. And I guess I could, before anyone says anything, I technically could switch to another camera system. I could go to a Sony camera. I could go to a Canon. Those are both really popular brands. But the thing with Sony, most of their models don't have a fully reticulating monitor. And so I'd either have to get an external monitor to hook it up to if it had the output for that or the input for that, or I just have to film blindly and not be able to see myself. Like usually they kind of partially flip up top, but because I use a hot shoe for my microphone, because a hot shoe is like what is on top of the camera, and then the microphone slides into it. If it is a camera style where the monitor flips up, I either can't use the microphone the way that it's intended to be used, or I can't use the monitor. And so that's really annoying. And also the lenses are different between each system. So like Sony has ASPC, and then Micro Four Thirds is what I use, and then Canon has their own system. And so the thing that's expensive about cameras and filming is not the camera, it's the lenses. And I have, between everything I use, I have probably like, on top of replacing the camera, I'd have to replace like $2,000 in lenses and other equipment to be able to film on a different camera system. So it's like one of those things where you're already invested, and it's like either I can spend $1,000 because this is only half of the cost of getting a new camera. The actual camera is like $1,800. So after taxes and shipping and everything else and all that business and warranty and all that, it ends up being like so much more expensive to just replace everything. Oh, thank you so much. What happened to Australia? What happened to Australia indeed? I think cane toads is, I think, the answer. Is the answer cane toads? Is that what happened to Australia? But yeah, so anyways, that's my little camera rant. It's a little bonus for you guys about my camera. It's annoying. But yeah, I ended up having to pay like twice as much money if I wanted to switch camera systems. And supposedly all of the features and the focusing is way better in the newer camera models, to where it really isn't even an issue anymore if you're filming with like the right settings. So I'm willing to take a risk and not have to pay twice as much for everything, basically. Because if I wanted to get an equivalent Canon camera, it would be like $3,000. And I'm sorry, I'm not a YouTuber with 1 million subscribers that can just drop $3,000 on a camera. That's not me. That's literally, and also what's funny is, up until this point of this year, my camera is the only piece of technology I haven't had to replace. My laptop died. This streaming camera I didn't have anymore. I had to replace that. I had to replace my computer. I had to replace my microphone for streaming. I had to replace my microphone I use for filming videos because that one also started having issues. Like literally every piece of core technology I use, I've had to replace already this year. There's going to be a lot of tax write-offs for business expenses is what I'm saying. So that's, you know, that's being a YouTuber. COVID-19 did happen to Australia. To be fair, it's happening everywhere, so it sucks. It sucks. All right, I'm gonna answer like 2 more questions and then I'm gonna wrap up. How about that? Usually I can do the whole separation of art from artist, but for like problematic people, not literal criminals, allegedly. Well, that's the thing, exactly. It's people don't understand that there's a difference between people that have had spicy tweets and people that are like alleged chronic abusers, you know? People that are out there literally being predatory to other individuals for years, going after extremely young people, sometimes fans, and people that like one time in 2009, they tweeted a bad joke and it aged poorly. And subtlety is not always people's strong suits. Would you personally find it weird to have never kissed anyone by 22? I would not, actually. I would not. I know plenty of people. Actually, I know people that literally waited until they were married to kiss. Like, literally, their wedding day was their first kiss. I know at least 2 people that did that. And they weren't, like, Mormons or anything. They were just, like, I don't know, normal Protestants, I think. They were religious, but like, you know, they wore pants, okay? The women had short hair. They weren't that far over on the other side. But I don't think it's that weird. I think a lot of people actually, you know what, in specifically, a lot of people that are medical students have no relationship experience by the time they leave med school, like literally at all, because med school is so all-consuming that you don't have time to date or go to parties or do anything else except for learn how to be doctor. And so you could literally get all the way through med school, be done by what, like after your residency, be like 26, and still not have had like a serious adult relationship at all. Never kissed anyone, never gone on any dates, never any of that. And it's not because they didn't want to or weren't able to or were weirdos. It's just like literally they didn't have the ability to. I don't think that's weird. I don't think any reason why you wouldn't have kissed by somebody by 22 is weird. It's just life. It's just life. This is from the Kitten Collection. A lot of people ask me that. They're on Etsy. I've been buying from them for years. This is biothane, so it's wonderful. You can wear it in the shower, in the bathtub, in the rain. Don't have to worry about it degrading. Amazing. 10 out of 10. Very comfortable. Wear it all the time. Okay, now we're all talking about brownies. I'm gonna do that at that point in the chat. Exactly. That's truly the most dangerous thing we discussed today for the children is brownie recipes. I wish they make munches for people over 35 years old. They do. It depends on where you live. I have seen events for people that are 35 plus only, though, for sure. It's like it just depends on who organizes stuff where you're at, but they do. And I've been to them in the sense that like they weren't like the rules said 35 plus only, but I was the only one under 35. In fact, I was the only one under 45 usually. Like usually it was people that were older, getting off work, having a beer, you know, just, you know, hanging out with their adult friends that have older kids that they can leave at home for a little bit after work. And yeah, totally a thing. Just depends on where you're at. Well, trust me, I know about cameras. Like, like Panasonic is definitely, like, Panasonic specifically focuses on the video, like, camera, like, vlogger market. Like, that's what they focus on. And actually, this is on a Sony camera right now. This is like a Sony, it's one of the older ones. I don't remember which one it is exactly. It's like a Sony Alpha 6000? I don't remember. Something like that. I got it for like $200 on eBay. It was amazing. It was such a great deal. Really, really good deal. I wouldn't use this one for filming videos though, because it doesn't have the features I need for actually film videos. It's really good for live streaming, but it doesn't have like a hot shoe on it. It doesn't have like a mic like input thing. It's good for what it does, but I couldn't film videos on it. And Panasonic is coming out with a new camera. It's going to be the GX6. That's supposed to like blow everyone's minds, but it's going to be probably over $2,000. And again, I am not a YouTuber with 1 million subscribers that can just drop $2,500 on a brand new camera. Like $1,800 is like my max budget. So, oh, and I did find a place to rent cameras, and I kid you not, there's a place locally that I can rent a camera from. It's $400 for 1 week of renting a camera. I could buy the camera in 3 weeks at that price. Isn't that crazy? Or that not like the camera I'm probably gonna buy, but that camera that they had for rent is a little bit of like an older model. It's like $400 a week. I'm like, damn, you really don't want people to steal these cameras. You really don't want that. I've noticed on dating sites, couples say they're poly just to get single female for threesomes. I haven't run into that too much. What I've run into more is like people that pretend they're single and then you find out they're a couple later. But I know I've heard stories about that. I just haven't personally witnessed it, but I totally believe that happens. Or people like, or people confuse poly versus like open, and they say, because OkCupid is the worst for this, because they totally conflate polyamory with everything else. And so what somebody could say they want is, oh, we're looking, we're polyamorous, we're looking for someone else to love, blah, blah, blah. And what they really mean is they want to have like threesomes with emotions being allowed, but they don't actually want like a fully fledged relationship. And that gets really confusing to sort through, because OkCupid can't tell when somebody is like polyamorous and wants multiple relationships versus people that are like open and wanting a hookup. And that causes some issues. Oh, we have a super chat from Brittany. You can check out Elgato, $400 a week. That's knocking futz. Great way to trick the algorithm there. Does Elgato make cameras? I mean, I have a lot of Elgato streaming equipment, but do they make cameras? I'll have to check that out. What about GH6? Well, the GH6 hasn't come out yet. The GH5 is what you're thinking of. The GH6 is going to be the new model. It's supposed to be like, it's going to have a lot of really cool new stuff in it, but we don't know when it's going to be released yet. So I am not waiting to replace my camera for months on the bet that that camera might be released in the next year. But yeah, what I would be looking to get if I got a new camera would be the GH5 too, which is... So, again, I'm sorry, I'm just, like, talking a lot of camera stuff that, like, 90% of you don't care about, but for the 10 of you who do. The GH5 came out. It was, like, revolutionary. It blew people's minds. I didn't get it because it was way too expensive, especially when it first came out. It was, like, $2,000. And they recently came out with a new version of it that basically the reason for it is it has some kind of feature upgrades to it. And also, with the older GH5, they aren't able to offer all of the firmware updates for it that they would on their newer models. And, cameras they're definitely a mechanical things, but they're kind of like cars in that there's a lot of technological, like, software pieces to them now. And certainly cameras, like firmware updates, software updates. I guess it would be firmware. I don't know what the difference is between those two. Don't shoot me in the comments for not knowing the difference between firmware and software, okay? I don't know. But, they aren't able to do as many updates now for the GH5, and so I feel like investing in one now, I would have to replace it much sooner than I would the Mark II, which is also like only $100 more than the GH2 used. So like, why wouldn't I get the newer version? It makes sense. The GH5S has less megapixels. The only reason I would get a GH5S is if I was a vlogger that did a lot of nighttime vlogs and I had a lot of low light situations, which I don't. But it's like the GH5S is very use case specific. Like that's like somebody who vlogs a lot outdoor in changing light conditions and films a lot when it's darker outside and films inside like venues and things more often. But yeah. Oh, but yeah, I didn't get to that in my had to stop myself. I was gonna rant more in that about unicorn hunting, but I kid you not. I hope you guys can't really hear it in the final edit, but the weed whacking and the leaf blowing that was happening outside of my house at the end of filming that video of the Anthony Padilla reaction, it was so loud I couldn't hear myself. Like I couldn't hear myself think. And so I had to do my intro like 7 times because I couldn't hear what I was saying. And I was like, am I saying that right? Am I like yelling at the camera? Like it was so hard to finish filming that video. But yeah, he didn't really talk about unicorn hunting and all. And I tried to kind of get to that when I talked about how important it is to be honest and upfront about what you want from a relationship and how, you know, a lot of people get really hurt on social media by people that say they want a third and why that makes it so important to be upfront about what you want. Because I kind of feel like the couple that was the 3 guys, like I kind of feel like it was sort of a unicorn hunting situation where like he didn't know he was going on a date with both of them. He thought he was third wheeling. He thought they were just friendly. And I'm like, I don't think that works for most people. I think if you did that to most people, they would like feel really violated and upset that you lied to them about like it actually being a date and you didn't know it was a date. Like, that's probably not a good move. But yeah, I was kind of expecting them to go more into like misconceptions and talking about more like those areas because that is like what most people think of when they think of 3-person relationships. But they alas did not get there. Ran out of time. It was almost 25 minutes long, so maybe they did ask about it and they just cut the final question from the interview. Who knows? Alright, it is 10 after, so I think it is time for us to wrap up here, everyone. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. We have had quite the day today. So many. We've been all over the place. We have talked about candy canes and threesomes and brownie recipes and how to not brat when you want a punishment. So many good things, so many good questions. So I'm not going to be doing another live stream this weekend because I am going to a party tomorrow night and I don't know what I'm going to feel like the day after that. So who knows? I'm not sure it's going to happen, but I promise I am going to be streaming more this month in December. I really want to show off all the decorations. I want to play some silly fun little Christmas games. I'm planning, if I can find one, I'm gonna get like a Christmas puzzle and maybe we'll like solve the puzzle together on stream. Maybe that'll be super boring or maybe it'll be like really fun and interactive. I have no idea. But that is all for today. I do stream every Friday at 6 o'clock, which is 9 o'clock on the East Coast and like 11 in the UK or midnight or something in the UK, whatever. You guys know what time it is where you're at. I won't tell you. It's down below. I have all the time things down below. And yeah, I will see you all again very soon. And until then, have an amazing day. There will be a video that's going to come out on Sunday, so look forward to that. It will not be a reaction video. It will not be anything like that. It'll be a good old-fashioned educational BDSM conversation, straight out to the point, all that good stuff. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.